Hello everybody, welcome back to another session by K21 Academy. Today our expert will be discussing about Scrum Dashboard and Project Matrices. So let's get into the video.
So now this is the board. Like in the board, you have your columns and statuses, like what are your columns which are being present. Okay, and so I think it is loading. Yeah, these are your columns like to do, in progress, testing, whatever we have created, right? All those things which are being present. Okay, just it is showing you in the board what are the columns which are being present. If you want to add any filters for it, you can always be able to add. Okay, there are custom filters. You can create any filters on your own if you want anything. And these are all which is not required for you. At least these are just some additional things. But as far as board is concerned, you should be aware about your columns and statuses. That's it. Nothing more we should be able to think of. So these are some of the important points in your project settings. Whatever I mentioned is actually more than enough for a Scrum Master to look into. But otherwise, even these details also we don't take care of. Okay, just we have to go to access and ensure that we are adding the people over here and make sure that if any issue type is not present, come to issue types and make sure that you can create an issue type as per your team requirement. Otherwise, we don't even require this part also. And go to your features and make sure that if any feature is not present, you can always go here in the features and toggle it out so that you can be able to see those features being enabled for you at your project level. Okay, these are the only things, but again, I just have explained to you other things just for your information only, but otherwise it doesn't have any such showstopper that I have to do, otherwise I will be not able to do anything, nothing like that. Okay, so just for your information only. Okay, this is all with respect to your project settings. Now, if I go back to project again, that is the reason why, see here, my reports are enabled. Whatever the reports are present, just because I went to my project settings in the features, I have enabled my reports. That is the reason why my reports is visible over here. Okay, otherwise my reports wouldn't be visible at all. Okay, so now if I click on my reports, it will give you an overview. Like whatever you want to capture, it is up to you. Either you want a cumulative flow diagram, cycle time report, sprint burndown chart, burn up report, velocity report, you can be able to generate anything. But remember one thing, you can't be able to generate a velocity report until and unless the sprint is not completed. Once your sprint is completed, right, then only you can be able to create your velocity report. Otherwise, your velocity report will not be created until your sprint is completed. Just for an example, today we are starting our first sprint. That means before that, there are no sprints being present, right? As there are no sprints before it, then automatically the velocity report will not be there. But let me say you are in the third sprint, then your velocity report will be there. It will show you, but it will show you only 2 sprint velocity report. Third sprint, it will not show anything because your third sprint is still in progress. Once it is completed, then only you can be able to see your velocity report. Until then, your velocity will not be reflected. So that is another thing which you should be able to consider here. Okay. So now, for example, if I want to have a look into the burndown chart. Okay. Now, if I want to look into the burndown chart, you can just click on this burndown chart here. Automatically, it's going to give you P2 is your project 2 and I am in sprint 1. And I want to know the estimation with respect to story points. So now if you scroll it down, see here. Okay. Now, one is 8-pointer, another one is 5-pointer. Both of them are incomplete as of now. That means the work is going on. 8 plus 5 is how much? 13. Here. If you see total 13 points we have committed. So this is your ideal line. The gray color line which you see here, right? That is your ideal line. That means, see, if you just observe this chart, by today, at least we would have completed small work because yesterday we started the sprint, right? By today, at least we would have completed some amount of time, but we are above the ideal line. That means we are not going in a right way. We are not going in a right direction. So we should always be below our ideal line, which is present. So that means whatever the work which we have committed yesterday, it is still the same today also. We have not closed anything. That is the reason why we are still above the ideal line. We should always be below the ideal line. If you remember, I already explained this topic in the metrics and the reports part, like where you should be able to track your burn down appropriately. Always see you will have an ideal line. Who creates it? Jira itself creates and lets us know, hey, that this is your ideal line as per the commitment, whatever you've done, and then your date. Because towards your x-axis, you have your sprint date, and towards your y-axis, you have your story points. So you totally committed 13 and you still remain the same for today also. Okay. So if you observe here, as per your ideal line, whatever is mentioned here, right, you are above your ideal line. That means you are not performing well. So if you are below the ideal line, that means you are really doing great. But if you are like according to the ideal line, if you are just going on the ideal line, right, that is the ideal scenario. That means you are sticking with your ideal line and then you're able to go, but that is not going to happen. You know why? Let me say, as per the ideal line, somewhere you should be today around, let me say around 12. Let us say, for example, 12 points you should be. That means out of 13 which you committed, at least 1 point you should complete today. But you know that your story, whatever is there, it will go to in progress and then testing and then done. So it may take around 4 to 5 days. So till that time, it will look like this and suddenly it will fall down. Right? That is the reason why, even though the ideal line is there, in a practical scenario, you can't go along with your ideal line. So you can be above your ideal line. That means where we are not able to complete the work, or otherwise you can be below your ideal line where you are really doing a great work. So this is above. Okay, ideal line above means that side here. If you see my cursor, this side, if you have been there, that means we are not performing well. If you are below the ideal line, that means we are really doing great and we are able to complete the committed work, whatever we are able to do that. Okay, so in this way, you can be able to handle this part, which can actually be helpful for us. Okay, and here if you see, it will show you incomplete issues. For example, let me say, go ahead and try to complete one story. Okay, go back to project. See, let me say I'll complete this 8-pointer and see it is done. Let's see how the report will be reflected here. If I go to my reports, okay, let me go to my Burndown chart. Okay, so if you see here, it is still not reflected. Maybe it would take some time. Okay, but in this case, see here, it is not yet reflected. Let me try to refresh and just check it out once. Okay, it got reflected here. See, in incomplete issues, still the cart page is present, whereas in your completed issue, the login page is there. Okay, and then if you observe the graph, okay, the graph is not yet updated, but otherwise, if you could be able to see here, your cart page is incomplete, whereas your login page is said to be completed. And in between, if you bring any stories, right, you can also be seeing that here. Okay, apart from the committed dates, in between, if you come and try to add any stories, you can also be able to see that over here. Okay, so now if you see issue count, okay, so it just says 2 issues we committed. Okay, issue count is 2 because there are only 2 issues. If you see, right, in the graph, there are only 2 issues which we have created. So it shows you 2 issues in this case. Time is something which is not required, like how much time, because that is again a micromanagement which is not required. Okay, so if you observe here, see, it says transition done, story points 8 has been completed. Okay, so even though your line looks like this, see, there is a drop which has happened here. See, now it was not done. Right, that is the reason it was 8 here, but now it fell down and it is -8. So how much are we still left with? It is just showing somewhere around 5 points we are present. Okay, see, we are not done with only 5 points. You're getting my point here, right? See, -8 means it's already completed. That means we are way below our ideal line. If you see the circle, okay, now when I close the ticket, we are way below the ideal line. In reality, it wouldn't look this much difficult. It is very simple. As and when you complete the work, automatically the work will, this red color line will also be stopped. But whereas we are in our free trial, so we are not able to customize our reports and metrics. Okay, but otherwise, if you see here, but here also, if you observe, see, just put your cursor at the top, it says the transition was not done, so you have to complete your story points 8. But all of a sudden, once we have closed it, right? So you see that only 5 pointer is there, and we have completed 8 pointer, -8 it became. So we are just left with only 5 points. That means our as per ideal line, we should be here, but we are somewhere over here. That means we are really doing a great job. Okay, that is just to give you a trend, like how it would basically look like. Okay, so if you click on your burn up report, okay, this is your burn up report altogether. As you know, burn down says how much amount of work you are being able to go ahead and try to complete. See, if you observe the burn down chart, okay, it just shows that we are still left with how much? 5 pointer. Okay, we are still left with 5 points. Whereas if I go to my burn up report, right? See here, it will look like in this way. Okay, you have to start, and as and when you complete your work, all those progress will be shown. See, this is your ideal line. Okay, so as per this ideal line, you should be able to go ahead and try to do. If you are below the ideal line here, that means you are not able to complete. But if you are above the ideal line here, right, that means you are doing a great job. For example, let me say initially yesterday I committed 13 story points, right? And total 2 user stories which we have committed, which says issue count is 2. Now, today, if you consider today, see, we have closed 8 story points here. See, as per ideal line, you should be here. But whereas we went way beyond and we completed it. Okay, just looking the things in a different way. Same thing only. Okay, you are observing the same pattern. There is nothing different here. Only thing is, in the burn down, you are able to see the graph in a little different way, because there you are capturing that how much amount of work is still remaining in the burn down. Whereas in the burn up, you are seeing that how much amount of work you have completed. So I completed till here. Now tomorrow I may complete some more. Like that, you will be able to complete certain things and your graph will keep on moving. And at the top, if you see, right, this red color line, this is your total scope. Your total scope has not changed as of now. So whatever you committed, it is still the same here. Okay, so that is your total scope. Now, if by any chance, let me say on September 14th, your scope increased, then this will go up again. That means whenever you're going to add any story in the mid of the sprint, then automatically in this graph, you're going to see that your scope will increase to the top little bit, and then again, it will go from there on. And again, once you complete or once you remove any item from your sprint, again, it will fall down. So burn up will also give you a picture to see the scope, like how things are going on, what are the things which are being done, how the scope is being there. So you can be able to see all those things in your burn up report, like where there is a line, scope line. So you can be able to see your scope line as and when it gradually moves ahead. Okay, so in that way, you can also be able to have a look into your burn up report, whatever is present. Okay, so this is again something which we should be able to take care of. So this is your scope line, which you could also be able to see in your burn up report. So we generally capture burn up report, burn down report. Okay, so these are the two things, burn up and burn down. And velocity is something, but as we didn't complete the sprint, so we will not be able to see the velocity. Let's do one thing. Let me try to have a look into it. Let's go to the backlog. Let's edit the sprint date, and let's say today only our last date is, just for an example. Okay, so let's say we will end today. That's on 20, sorry, not 24, it's around 11. Let's update it. Let's complete the sprint. Okay, so it says that, hey, you completed one issue and there is one open issue. Shall I move that to the next sprint, that is sprint 2? I can say yes, no problem. I completed the sprint now. Now that sprint is gone. The sprint 1 is gone. That means you have completed it. So now you are in sprint 2. Okay, I will edit the dates and I will say it's going to start from tomorrow. Okay, instead of this, I'll say 12. and automatically the date is set up and I can just update it. Okay, so here, this is my sprint 2. Now, you need to start the sprint, but we are not worried about that because already we discussed yesterday. Let me go to the reports here and let me click on the velocity report. See, it got enabled. This is how your velocity report will look like. See, in your sprint 1, you committed 13 story points, whereas you were being able to complete your 8 story points. Okay, see here, committed 13, completed 8. This is how you could also be able to see like how you can be able to deal with the things. Okay, so now as you completed the sprint, it could be able to see. Now in the same way, once the sprint 2 is completed, then only you can be able to see the velocity report. As long as the sprint is in progress, you will not be able to see it. So what did I do? I immediately completed the sprint today only. Yesterday I started, today I completed, which you should not be able to do. Just to make you show the velocity chart, I have done that. So where I closed it right now, I completed the sprint. When you complete the sprint, it will ask you incomplete issues or incomplete user stories, where it should go. So you can redirect it to the next sprint. Automatically, the moment you complete your sprint, the Jira will pull those work items and it will pull it to the next sprint. Automatically, Jira will do that. The moment you complete the sprint there, you can come to your reports and you can track your velocity along with your burn down and burn up report. So this is how you should be able to capture your reports and metrics so that you can be able to have a look into all these details. Like it may be your velocity report, it may be a burn down chart, or it may be a burn up report. So this is how you should be able to track it. Okay, so I hope that I have given you the clarity. So this is one last thing which was been pending as part of our practical part, where I want to show you how to generate your own reports with respect to velocity, burn down and burn up report. And I hope that I have given you all the clarity, like how you should be able to look into reports and all. And I've also given you an extra things that is related to project settings, where we have seen a lot of features being present inside your project settings, so that you can always be able to even access that. Okay, so now this tool is a Jira Cloud. So we are using the Jira Cloud, like where Jira itself takes care of it. So you don't need to worry about it. So this is a Jira Cloud generally. So when you want to create anything very quickly, any issue type, it may be epic, it may be a user story, it may be a bug. If you want to create anything immediately, see, there is a create button at the top. You can click on create button and you can create whatever you want. You can select your project, issue type is present here. You can select whatever issue type you want to add, and then later you can put your summary. Okay, and then you can provide your description, whom you want to assign, and then what should be the sprint and the estimates. Reporter will automatically come. Whoever is gonna create this, right, that person will be the reporter. If you have any attachment, you can attach it and you can just say on create button. You can just click on create. That's it. Immediately you can create anything. If you want to create anything immediately, rather than going to backlog and create anything there, you can just click on the create button over here and you can be able to go to your whatever issue type you want, whatever project you want, provide your summary, description, assignee, and then your sprint and your story points, and then you can click on the create button. That's it. With that, you can be able to create whatever issue type you want with a simple create button being present over here. That's how you can be able to do these things.
So guys, this was our expert from Team K21Academy, and if you want to have a deeper dive, then we have something really special for you. We have our free class on what is Scrum Master roles and responsibilities. Under this free class, we cover what is Agile in Scrum, what is a Scrum Master roles and responsibilities, and a lot of things that will make you have a better career in this domain. All you have to do is just log on to k21academy.com/scrum02, click on register now, select an event date according to your availability, add your name, your email address, your phone number, and click on yes, save my seat. Moving ahead, you'll be seeing this kind of interface. Just save that link on the extreme right, add it to your calendars, and I'll see you in the free class. Till then, take care and keep learning.